How long?
Wait, how long was it?
Our 42.
That felt like we spoke about everything.
Did it? Yeah.
Like, how did we get to the topic of marriage as well? Like,
yeah, true.
but then that's just, you know, when you're comfortable with like certain people around you,
Yeah.
that you're willing to talk about everything.
They are the boys.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome, man. Like, we had Mahamad like what, a year ago, Hanad 2 years ago.
Yeah, Mohammed was like almost a year ago to date.
Yeah,
It was just before the New Year, similar timing and everything, you know.
yeah.
So, but I don't even know how. You know what the funniest part is? The episodes where you don't even realize time's passing. So that says a lot within
Yeah, I
itself.
had no idea.
But yeah, talk to us, Ali.
No, it was awesome what they're doing. We spoke to him a lot about their ThinkVillage. We kept referring TV, but then it was a bit confusing at the start for me. Wasn't sure, but like what they're doing, the new projects, taking action, execution with, you know, making things happen in the community with youth work and being on the ground as well, working with the youth and, you know, diving deep into problems that not only do they have, but we have as a community.
That's
And
true.
that's just so interesting. And at the same time, they were talking about how much they're learning about themselves at that same time.
Correct.
Because a lot of the times we can look at problems and think like, okay, well, let's point the finger. Their problems are over there. But then what about us as well? What impact do we make? And what can we do to improve to help them as well?
That's true. That is actually true. I agree to that.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite episodes is a good start, a good way to start the year off. Ali coughing into the mic. I'm joking.
Yeah, I was sound a bit sick.
But other than that, bro, I think banger episode. It's always good when Mohammed and Hanad both come on. It always feels like another one of us on the mic.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a guest. They're not guests. They are part of the podcast at this rate. And I think the part that I enjoyed the most is the fact that they've taken action. You know,
Yeah.
last time we had either one of them on, ThinkVillage didn't exist. ThinkVillage exists now. Community-led programs, and we were there, like in person at
Yeah,
the
their first event, yeah?
their graduation event for
Yeah.
their fellows, which was amazing to see. So more success to them, inshallah, bigger and better 2026. And without further ado, I think we should just get straight into it.
Sounds good.
Hey, by the way, before it continues, just smash the like button, subscribe, you know the shebang. Yeah, and enjoy the episode.
FairDinkum.
Today we had our individual conversations. These are our boys right here, the ThinkVillage boys and everything. How you boys been? Talk to us, man. How's things?
Bro. Been good.
You know what's actually funny? I was thinking about this, and I mentioned it in the spine that I sent you guys. It is almost a year since we recorded.
Our episode.
Our episode, and then 2 years since we recorded the 100 episode. You know, and a lot's changed in that time. You know, guys, trailblazers, doing some hard work, launched some initiatives and everything. But talk to us, man. We'll get straight into the punch. Yeah, ThinkVillage. How did that come to be? Take the mic.
No, TV, it's a long one.
Yeah?
It's a long one. I think obviously myself and Mohammed have been in the space for quite a while, you know, as youth practitioners, community development practitioners, working in our respective roles. You know, Mo's in Department of Education, I'm also in DE, but also doing a couple other things in the not-for-profit space. I think it really came out of frustration. I think that's the actual thing. TV really came out of frustration. Obviously seeing what's been happening in the community space as a whole. You know, there's a lot of things, a lot of challenges, issues, barriers, whether it's structural, systemic, etc. And having been like educated in Australia, you know, got our qualifications and having worked between us like 20 years in this space, right?
Plus,
It's like, I don't know, there was an urge, there was a feeling there, like, hey, we could do something.
And there was nothing there in the space to begin with, was there?
Yeah, no, I think that, look, there were bits and pieces. You know,
Correct,
I think people were doing work, but H&R, when we came together, it was the same conversations 10 years on. You know what I mean? So the conversations weren't changing. The nature of the problems were still there.
Yeah.
You know, and it looked a little bit different, but it was more or less the same conversation. So when you're having the same conversation and you're working in a sector trying to resolve the same issues, that can get taxing, you know, and then you got to shift from, are we commentators and reflect on what are we doing to be part of a greater solution. I think that's the part I think where ThinkVillage started to brew was around, we needed to look in the mirror and kind of say, what are we doing? Do you know what I mean? So either we sit there, we talk about a problem, and we we kind of spew what the rhetoric is from community and from the sector, or we actually do something that's a little bit different, that brings together what our thinking is. You know what I mean? And no pun intended. That's
it's in the name.
That's how it was kind of it came about. So yeah.
What were those same conversations or those rhetorics that were consistently being spewed around that you felt like, okay, boom, we need to launch an initiative and like have a hands-on approach rather than what are we going to do about it? There needs to be change, or there needs to be some sort of initiative that puts into place.
We found ourselves in this position where for a period of like, I'd say a year before we launched TV, we're just having constant conversations, just phone calls and catch-ups and just debriefs, you know. What are you seeing? What am I seeing? What are some ideas that you have? Different issues that we came across in our roles, but also things that we're seeing in community, right? I think from those conversations there, I think it started, because Mo had, you know, obviously Epidemic, who was running, I was doing some mentoring programs with Move Different, and we started having some discussions and dialogue around, hey, you're here doing this and I'm here doing that, but we're really saying the same thing. Like we're really talking about the same issues. We have the same ideas, values. There's a lot of alignment here, right? Why don't we just come together? And then from there, it took about another 2 months where we started pen to paper. It was like workshopping, booking our little office space, butcher's paper, writing things down, having conversations with community, you know, so with young people, parents, leaders, people that we respect and we value their opinion in the sector around, hey, this is the idea that we have. We're trying to do this. What are your thoughts? You know, do soundboarding from a couple of people, and then the idea of TV came about. You know, and then alhamdulillah, it's been beautiful ever since.
What would you say? TV's ThinkVillage, by the way. In case guys don't know what ThinkVillage's core message is or core approach.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple of value statements. I think the one that kind of comes to mind from this conversation. And the premise is those closest to the problem are closest to the solution. So one thing we're big on is community-led solutions. We've seen work done well, and we've seen work that hasn't been done too well, even when it's being led from community. So we're trying to, build on the knowledge, the foundation that we have, which is a pretty solid foundation. We're talking about, so you said 20, I think it's more 25 plus years of work in the sector, and so in that time, you'll see what's things that are done reasonably well, things that with good intention a lot of the time. No one very few people come in with the wrong intentions, but they mean well, but just don't know how to go about it, don't know how to, get an outcome for community or for across a problem, either because there's a fixation on the problem, or there is a knowledge gap on how to do it. So they mean well, good intention, or there's a skill gap there, the knowledge of
how do you implement
implement
Could you give us
you mean well
like a specific scenario? Like
I'll give you an example. A lot of times in our line of work, there's things that people, the organizations and people that come together, out of passion, drive, and a genuine community care, but they may not have never run, programs, or they don't understand the service sector, or there's a knowledge-based issue. So if you're gonna, you're gonna run an employment program, right? You need a certain level of skill sets to understand. Okay, what do I need to do here? It's not as easy as I'll get going, and get employers, get young people match. There's a lot of considerations that you need to have. For instance, but then you won't know what those considerations are if you've never been in that space before.
Correct, exactly.
So it takes, to do something effectively, you need to be exposed to a certain level of skill set, understanding about industry. What are the challenges for industry? What are the challenges for the young people? Sometimes you connect, and there's a whole heap of stuff you got to consider. There's that disconnect sometimes. So that's what we see. But we'll be big believers of community-led solutions at the end of the day, but the right people from community leading those solutions is probably
and why is community-led solution so important?
That's a really good question, but I'll touch on it real quickly, and then H will jump in as well. It's we have a set of experiences. We've been exposed to certain things. We've experienced our journey. More or less, right? It's very hard for somebody who hasn't experienced what we've experienced to fully comprehend what we're going through.
That's true.
And then if you don't comprehend what we're going through, it's going to be very difficult for you to connect my pain to something that works, right? So before solutions, we got to understand the pain. We're going to understand the problems. And if you can't understand the problems, sometimes you don't have to experience my pain. A counselor, for instance, you'll go to a counselor, they may never have experienced it, but to be an effective counselor, you need to have a degree of understanding. You get me? Or else you're going to spend the bulk of the time trying to understand that pain. Yeah? So when it's community led, your connection, our experiences are very similar. You get what I mean? Whether or not we're raised in the same area, different households, we share similar experiences, right? That's the part. There's a shortcut there. So our starting points will be different. We don't have to work back to go forward. You get what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And plus, when it's from the community as well, it's like it's more accessible. And then there's that relatability component of it, which is very, very important. Because then there's that formation of trust.
Of course, yeah.
Like if I know Mohammed and Hanad are running this service, or it's coming from them, I know them.
Exactly.
And even if I don't know them personally, like they look like me. They talk like me. They've come from a similar spot that I've come from. So in a way, it's easier for it to be somewhat like accessible and stuff, which is very important.
It's proven to work too. If you think about it, I think all the evidence and the data tells us bottom up solutions or bottom down solutions don't work. We've seen it time and time again. It's been trialed. It's still having till today, right? But it's the most effective programs that have the most impact is when it's led by community. It's when it's led by those who have the experience, the capability, the leadership, the understanding, most importantly, the connections, right? It's putting those people in the village, in a position where they can make some decisions, and it's slowly we're starting to see different pockets of community, whether it be like local council, state government, like starting to buy into that message. It's taken us a very, very long time. I think local council does it the best. State to get in there slowly, whereas invest in your neighborhood, invest in the people. See the people as assets, rather than a burden. There's nothing worse than kind of putting together a program or hey, there's an issue, but this is how we're going to treat it, and you guys just go do it. True. There's been no consultation or no meaningful consultation. There's been no hey, give a space or open space up for community to engage in some dialogue. I think that's where some genuine work actually happens. I think where with ThinkVillage, all our programs, whether it be the Ripple Effect, Epidemic, African Australian Fellowship, it's been co-designed with community. It's been co-designed with young people. You're giving them space, agency where, hey, this is two-way partnership. Does this make sense? All the workshops that we deliver, we sit down, books, paper, pen and paper. Hey, what we're saying over here, is it making sense to you as a young person? We're both over the age of 30, If it's not, hey, well, I just but it's it's like, hey, if it's not making sense for young people, if it's not making sense for community, then I'll be honest, what are we actually doing?
Correct.
If it's just a Hanad and Mo thing, then let's just call it the Hanad and Mo show.
Correct.
That's not what it is.
It's not a village component. Correct. So then, what are some of the issues you try and tackle in the formation of ThinkVillage, and you're in that soundboarding phase and brainstorming? Did you pick specific issues or areas and whatnot? How does it come to be?
So we're currently focusing on 3 areas.
Why I asked this question as well is because community is a big thing.
Of course.
It's not, how do I say, it's not simple, it's multifaceted. Even if you find, I guess, a solution to one problem, that it might be what's the word? There's so many more components that are within it, so you can't just say, oh, that's it. So how do you guys come to
Yeah.
addressing those?
We had passion, like key areas that we want to touch on, you know. So obviously with Betterment, which we will speak to, which are mental health and well-being for young men, you know. And I was doing a lot of work in the community safety, youth justice space. But I think a common thing that brought us together was leadership and education, right?
Yeah.
So our key pillars, our key focus areas at the moment is education, mental health and well-being, and justice. You know, there's a lot of good programs happening at the moment in community. You know, a lot of programs that are evidence-based, effective. They get some runs on the board, right? But what we wanted to do is kind of put a different spin to it. You know, so for example, our knife crime program, our ripple effect program, is we didn't have any funding from government, state, council, philanthropy, anything. We had a conversation. We put together a really, really strong program that we can take to community, take into schools, take into communities, etc. Around, hey, there's an issue with serious youth violence. There's an issue with knife crime that's affected a number of young people in our communities. Let's try to put something together. You know, we might not have all the answers, all the solutions, but we're going to give it a crack. You feel me? I think that's the frustration part around TV. We're just sick and tired of just waiting.
Correct.
Yeah, like we're commentating. Hey, no one's going to do it. Let's just give it a crack.
Exactly. And someone else addressing those issues too, like state government or, I don't know, the government in of itself. And then they can't relate to those problems as well, you know? I don't know if this is a good example, but like even like the machete boxes and stuff, whatever. Like that might not be the best solution for what's actually going on. There might be a grassroots issue that needs to be tackled. And then from that point of perspective, you need someone that's within or that understands the community where it's coming from, you know?
And there's also this thing where I think where we're at as within our context in Australia is different. You can't always. I think we've seen the same problems in UK, for instance, similar problems in the States, but I think we have a unique problem here as well, and I think our context matters. So it's about how do we better understand our context, and the best way to do that is by working with the community. You know, so
how's it unique? You brought up a good point. Like, how's it differ from?
I think it's different.
UK have a knife crime.
It's the same. It's the similarities in the crime, the criminality of it, and where it stems from and whatnot. But it looks different here. You know what I mean? So, within the context of, Melbourne, for instance, look at our context here. We don't have generations of gangs, for instance. You get what I mean? So we're at a point now where things are emerging that are similar to what's happened over in America, spots and Scotland and UK and whatnot. But there's also differences in the communities. Yeah, that's settled. That are experiencing these problems. Their settlement journeys is different. Opportunity is different. Environment is different. So it's about how do we better understand those things, because we can't just take a solution from here and think that it's gonna work just as effective in our environments, because that's not what these youngins are experiencing on the ground. You get where I'm coming from?
Correct.
So it's about, that's the work that we're doing. But the best way to get that work and to get that information is by actually doing that work with those young people that are being drawn into a life that's not going to hold them up. Yeah.
And in a way, you could look at, like, I guess the UK, because that's a very good point, the generational aspect of it. Like, it's very novel here in Australia. Like the African community, majority of them have only come within the last 30 years now. And we're in 2026. Like within the last only 30 years, that was literally just yesterday compared to the UK, where it might have been like generational. So in a way, you could look at how we can, because we're in almost a better spot as well in a way, because we could look to them as a form of reference
and learn from them.
Yeah, where did their government, their community go wrong in the early stages, and how can we prevent this from being? Because we didn't even have post-Cold wars and all that kind of stuff. That's even a new thing in of itself, How do you stop it from becoming turf wars and area wars that people inherit, and that causes massive systematic problems as well. Like I was watching a video, it's one of my favorite YouTubers, Tommy G. Do you know Tommy G?
No.
He goes around, Tommy G. Ahmed, yeah? Tommy G goes around different neighbourhoods across like the UK and whatnot. and a lot of them are like low socioeconomic neighborhoods, African American community, the Hispanic community. You've got white communities like redneck and all those kind of communities and whatnot. And he will constantly like interview them. So he'll literally be like, he has in the hood series, similar to like Spaniard, he's the OG like Spaniard, Bloods, Crips, all that kind of stuff, And sometimes you look at these guys and you'll think respectfully, like in a way, they're just like animals, like put it plainly, because they've inherited all of this and they don't even know why they're living this life, But for them, a lot of the main issues that occur is the fact that like we were born into this, like we couldn't even go to school, and as a result, because we couldn't go to school, we didn't have an education, so job wasn't a thing. So in terms of filling time, when most people go fill time with their job, what do we start doing? We start shotting on the neighborhood. We'll start doing such and such just so we can fill our time. But the problem is then kids get involved in the picture, then the kids grow up into that like landscape and whatnot, And Tommy G has this constant like message where he goes, it's sad to see, because in his side, he looks at it and he goes like, I'm fortunate in the sense that like I didn't grow up in these like neighborhoods and stuff like that. In Australia, this is when you have that perspective, it's like in Australia we don't have those problems, but it can become those problems.
Yeah, if we don't address it early.
If it doesn't get addressed early.
Yeah. Look, we do have our problems, our unique problems we have. But it's I don't think anyone wakes up and decides to do crime.
No.
I don't think someone wakes up and chooses, I'm going to be on madness today. I think circumstances create what appears to be limiting options. So if I'm hungry and I have no job and I don't see any means of income, there's desperation there. Where there's desperation and you're blinded from alternative paths that you could take, so you see it as this or that. You can understand why someone chooses to go down a certain path, and how the environment shaped those decisions. Education, level of education, socioeconomic factors, where they're raised, their parents, their level of income, their level of education. You're only going to become a sum of your environment. And there's never, I think, yes, there's accountability at an individual level, but we have to be able to see the ripple effect as well, and see how society structures play a part in a young person's decision making, and that starts all the way back to the beginning of this childhood, their childhood experiences, through to education, through to life after education. There's a whole heap of things that they experiences. So it's like monsters are not born; they're created by the environment. And that's the sad part of it. So we a lot of our work is doing that work early with young people and the communities, so to prevent a young person believing that these are my only options.
Sure, yeah.
And if they see it, what I mean, like day to day.
The data's there, the evidence is there. If you look at adverse childhood experiences, just kind of do an ACE score for a young person, living in poverty, family violence, mental health. They've got a sibling or a family member who's been incarcerated, AUD, whatever the case may be, right? It's, you can kind of not predict, but it's that young person will need some support. But to play devil's advocate there, I think there are a cohort of young people who are some of the most vulnerable across the state, who do deal with a lot of these challenges that Moses spoke about. And then there are some young people who completely just force it.
And that's what I was going to be my next question, because most of the time, what I was relating to before, I was saying the environment, people are born into it, all this kind of stuff, But then Ali's about to be a parent soon, inshallah. You guys are both parents and whatnot, and alhamdulillah, we all have stable lives. But that doesn't mean like we're going to be spared from it too, because when we have children and stuff, how can we make sure that like they don't get caught into it? Because there are the cohort of people who come from stability, yet still get caught up into this.
Chasing that adrenaline, that dopamine, that sense of belonging, and it's cool. Like as a lot of people won't actually agree with this, right? Well, some young people, they find this cool, they find it fascinating.
their reality.
Yeah, in their reality, right? On socials, what they're posting is that the name, the image, the credit, all everything that comes with it, right? But there's dangers to it too. You know, you fly too close to the sun, bro, you're gonna get burnt. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing young people who aren't known to the system, who aren't known to the police, who aren't known to any statutory service, right? And they're coming in and their first charge is murder.
Big charge.
Big charge,
Yeah.
crazy.
And you can come from a good situation and end up in a bad predicament. You know what I mean? So it's not everyone is going through poverty, and that's I think that's the important point that H raised. But then there's where there's poverty, poor education, bad outcomes. It doesn't just impact the kids that have nots. It will rub off and impact those that come from privilege.
Yeah.
Because we're one community, we're one village. End of the day, we don't have the good,
Yeah, we don't separate.
The two. They're going to the same school, so one's going to be exposed to the other, and it's either one gets pulled up or one gets dragged down. So sometimes it's the level of exposure. Those young people are just exposed to, the disadvantage. So they're not always, I think, running to it, but it's there. You know what I mean? It's that charisma, it's the charm. You know what I mean? There's a lot of the young people that don't have. Often they're the alphas in the group. They're the leaders in the group, right? And then there's the influence. There's that pull within that group, social circle, whatnot. And they're the draw card. You know what I mean? Generally, they're personable. They're charismatic. They're the life of the conversation.
Good kids.
Good kids.
I'd be surprised, but I think my line of work, I come across some, I have I don't want to cuss, but I have what the hell moments where I get a report or an assessment, or I have a conversation with a young person. And, what do they say? The math isn't mathing.
Yeah.
This does not make any sense. Loving household, 2 parents, good structures around them, extracurricular activities, sports, basketball, good grades, etc. Where did things go wrong? A lot of the time it's just peer influences, wanting to kind of fit into a certain group, cohort, or act a certain way,
Would you say then in those cases, because you want to obviously tackle not just the vulnerable, the children in the vulnerable environments and whatnot. For those that are from a stable background, would you say then it's an identity issue?
Yeah, a little bit of it. A little bit of it.
Just think about it, in those early ages and stuff, no one has a formidable identity. That the concept of identity is forever changing. You want to be a sports player one day, then you want to go down, I don't know, career, then you want to do a trade. You know what I mean? Then you've got the natural influences of just social peer pressure. Add social media onto it, so your identity is forever changing. You're one person in the day, you're one person to your parents, you're one person when you're alone in your room, and then it's crap. So then maybe only one of them ends up sticking. But because of the ramifications of that one, meaning let's just say the one that gets his first M charge, 99% chance probably he didn't mean it. Yeah. Now that that has become his identity before it's too late.
How do you guys find working with the kids in terms of communication? And obviously you're learning as well things about yourself in terms of how to communicate with these kids. But how are your experiences been working together now as a group and trying to break things down with your programs and not, like we said, not separating the kids?
Yeah, I think with any program that we do or things that we run, working with young people is a challenge sometimes. It's just truth, we can't hide behind it, right? Working with young people is a challenge sometimes, and it's them being able to be vulnerable. Yeah, so we got education has a purpose. We're teaching young people their core, their STEM, etc. But I think where we're trying to approach is we're trying to get young people ready for life. Yeah, so what are some skills that we can impart, some knowledge, so conflict resolution, anger management, problem solving techniques, emotional regulation, right? It takes a while for young people to open up and to feel comfortable with you. Yeah, but that's also true. If a young person has never been vulnerable,
which is even harder.
You go home, this house isn't warm, neglect, you're being ignored, you're not getting that affirmation, that dopamine, that love, that nurture, that care, right? If this room right here, and I think I said in the last podcast, if this room right here was completely cold, we're freezing, boys, we're walking out of here. We're gonna go to the next room where we feel warm. All right. Same for young people. Yeah. If they don't feel safe, if they don't feel comfortable, if they don't feel like they belong, they're gonna go to a place or a platform or an area where they find that sense of belonging. So I think it's patience for us. Yeah. Patience is allowing them to actually express. It's not going to happen overnight. And we tell our teachers, the schools that we work with, organizations, guys, give us a couple of weeks. There's no quick fix. We don't believe, we're not in the game of quick fixes. Give us a couple of weeks. Let's break some of these young people down. Let's actually really get to know them, and then we start to understand what's happening at home, what's happening in community, what are some of the things they're dealing with, etc. Then we can put some strategies and interventions in place. There's not a lot of that work happening though.
There's not enough. I'm working at a high school at the moment in like the western suburbs and stuff. So I kind of see that there's not enough people coming in for like incursions and having these type of services, because first of all, like I can imagine parents like will have the same experience where like if they're hearing the same thing from the same person every time, they're not listening as often. Whereas if you get a new face, new service coming in, it's like, okay, and then they start to be a bit more open in terms of taking things in. Because even when you're saying about, a place is cold and they'll go to the next room to try find it's warm. Sometimes these kids, they're in a spot in their life where it's like, okay, this is how my house is. The whole world must be like this. Maybe I'm not meant to open up. Maybe I'm not meant to share these things. And that's why they think it's like kind of finding that avenue, which kind of takes time. Like you said, it's not going to happen over time. I've been working 2 years now in a high school setting, and you kind of see over time actually with certain students, it's like, okay, now they're actually bringing things up. Whereas even though we have the answers and we're trying to give them the answers today, it's not going to work like that.
I think consistency, predictability is really, really important, right? Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Keep showing up. If you say you're going to do something, just do it, all right? And I think I love to use this analogy, that traffic light system, right? Especially for this cohort that we're talking about, young kids that are engaged, that are involved in their communities, their families, etc. But they're still going out into the environment. The school's from 9 to 3. From 3 to whatever. There's who's safeguarding these young people, right? So I think there's a responsibility there where it's like, just because you're not involved, you're not actively participating, doesn't mean you don't need the lessons, right? There's some schools that will be like, hey, our kids are fine. Our kids are thriving. They're doing absolute bits, right? But one situation will happen. Exposure. One incident will take place. It changes the whole entire landscape of that school.
And they're not equipped to deal with it.
And they're not ready for it. That's the problem. And one thing we also do, we have a 360 approach. We don't just work with young people. That's, I think, our point of difference is that we work with practitioners, teachers, sector staff, mental health workers, the whole shebang. Because at the end of the day, we don't come in, we can't just work with young people and buzz off. So a lot of the time when there's an incursion, I will tell you, teachers see it as it's a time off, right?
Exactly.
They're on in the show. It's
like a free period type of thing.
Yeah, free period type of thing. I can work on my admin side of it. So we invested in once we leave, how have we left? How have we equipped the teachers and the educators and the staff that are going to be there on a day-to-day basis to be able to support the young people long after we're gone. You think about these problems as well. When you talk about communication, it's massive. Communication, it's about giving the young people the toolkit to be able to deal with their own problems. If I don't know how to deal with a problem right now, right, all I've got to hammer in my toolkit. When there's conflict or friction, what am I going to do? I'm getting the hammer out. What am I? Hammers are only, you can use it in a couple of different ways. Pulling stuff out or banging stuff in. There isn't. Sometimes you need a different tool. Sometimes you need, pulling it out is going to damage the plaster. You can't. Sometimes you're going to need a drill. Sometimes you're going to need a spanner. Sometimes there's different tools for different situations. And it's about giving them the situational awareness and them reflecting on it. They may not have the tool right now, but understanding that it does wonders. What's happening to me right now in this moment, I'm not losing my mind. I'm just really upset because of what this person's done. You know what I mean? And they can process it and work through it. Pause before you act and take a time. It's about giving them the toolkit so they can resolve their problems.
The same for parents as well?
120%. Where did the young people get their toolkit from?
Because they're most important.
Modeling. That's where we get 90% of our toolkit is from modeling.
And I'm guessing most times, like you know, speaking about exposure in the school setting, yeah,
Mm.
I'm guessing parents are the same in the sense that when they get an exposure in their house that they probably did not know about, their reaction might not be, I guess,
Measured, yeah.
yeah, it might not be measured. It might not be the appropriate reaction in that spot, and that will fuel that child even more
Yeah.
to, I guess, go down.
Because their toolkit was limited.
Yes, correct, and they might not have that toolkit.
So they've just passed on a limited toolkit.
Mhm.
That's all it means.
One of the toolkits, yeah, and speaking on communication as well,
Mhm.
how big is vulnerability, you know? Because speaking from my point of perspective, I came from a household that was like the typical like African Somali household. Communication is usually one way, you know, it's not the most two-way like type of dialogue and stuff like that. And to me, that was normal, you know. To this day, even like expressing my emotions, kind of, how you going?
But vulnerability is a weakness, and that's real what you said.
Yeah,
I think it's not weakness. It's not vulnerability. Is not saying I can't cope right now. You know what I mean? It's having the language to be able to express what it is that you're going through. You know what I mean?
that's true.
And vulnerability is actually courage, because in order to express your vulnerability, you need to show courage and overcome the fear of being judged. You get where I'm coming from?
Agreed.
So it's not, vulnerability isn't weakness. It's actually strength. It's and strength masked and paired with the right language to be able to express it. So before you can even be vulnerable, you need to know and understand how to verbalize things. Bro. I think that's the biggest part. We weren't taught a lot of the time. We weren't given the language to be able to express. I think we're quite expressive people. I think, as you know, we know how to communicate, and we can. Once we work through that, the language piece, I can tell you how I feel.
Correct. Yeah, but you know where that comes from?
Yeah.
I believe it's because there's a level of awareness
That we have.
that we have.
Yeah.
You know, so then because then there'll be times where to express, not to express, to deal with and whatnot. You know, I feel like a lot of the problems,
Yeah.
like vulnerability combined with a lack of awareness,
Yeah.
is where the most problems like sort of like skew from. Like let's just say right now, like you have some sort of problem that you're not aware of. You know what I mean? And you can't express it, or you don't have the avenues to deal with it yourself. Let's just say if you don't have to tell someone else, then that produces insecurities. You know, and if you don't have those, if you don't deal with those insecurities, that's where bigger problems come from.
Of course.
You know, like later on you start, like it has like long effects, you know, in your intimate relationships, in your personal relationships,
Your mental health.
your mental health and all that kind of stuff, you know?
There was this cool guy, I saw it on socials. I love how he put it. He goes, if you can't be vulnerable, if you can't express, you know, then young people, any individual tends to, if you can't express, you tend to suppress your emotions.
Yeah, correct.
And by suppressing your emotions, later on, it leads to depression. Whether you're a young person, you're an adult, exactly, you know? If we can't be vulnerable, it's like speak how we want to speak. Just tell each other how we're feeling, you know, and express it, whether it's in the home, in the school, in the place of worship, wherever it is, right? You start to suppress a lot of these emotions.
Yeah,
that's why everyone's walking around is like heavy chested, and no one's talking to each other, and everyone feels isolated and marginalized, etc. Because there isn't we haven't created a safe space where people can just come and just be vulnerable. You know?
That's true.
It's even the language, how we even like frame therapy and stuff like that. Someone goes to therapy because they're sick. Yeah, something's wrong with them. Nah. You know, we put all these negative ideas around like therapy or seeking support, right? Where it's, if you reframe the discussion and reframe what therapy looks like, or what counseling looks like, or getting support looks like, maybe a lot more young people, individuals, you know, will go down that avenue. Yeah, but right now it's I
feel like also there's the internal component as well is lacking. You know, because if you can't admit it to yourself, then what ends up happening is you overcompensate in other departments, you know, or you end up suppressing, and that leads to like even let's just say young kids, let's just say they might not be aware of like a deficiency within themselves and whatnot, and they can't admit it to themselves, or even if they do admit it to themselves, they deny it and suppress it and put it away somewhere else. You know, then when they're faced, let's just say in a public setting or in a social setting with that problem, then it becomes a trigger. And that trigger leads to things that they don't even know the ramifications of, you know. Like one of your boys G'ing you up in the wrong moment, but you knew about that, but like what ends up happening is like now you're dealing with another problem.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like a bit of vulnerability from ourselves, like when you speak to younger kids or even just some of your friends, to an extent, you know, you share some things. That's where the relatability begins, and people start to understand. Because I remember from my experiences, hearing from some friends, oh, like you've gone through this, like, and then in your head, you're not expressing it because it's the first time you've recognized that, and it's like, oh my God, I'm going through something similar. And you build that trust and you start to realize like most of us are kind of going through similar things like that. I want to know how both your approaches in terms of breaking down and trying to create that vulnerability within like the younger kids. Because it is like you said, it is a patience thing, communication, like we said before. But then do you guys have like an approach that you work with? Like,
I think my mind's pretty simple, to be honest. I think it's I take it very, very slow, you know. And I think from the very start, you know, explicit information. Yeah, who am I? What's my role? What am I here to do? You know, let's just get that out of the way. And I think from there, it's like, what do you want this session or this intervention or these conversations to look like? You know, I'm coming here to do 1, 2, and 3. What are you trying to get out of this? What are some rules or some customs that we can agree to right now before we proceed? And it's just patience. You know, literally, like when people say walking alongside young people, it's literally that. You know, we'll go as slow as you want to go, right? And exactly as you mentioned before, like I can't expect a young person to be completely open and vulnerable without me, you know, doing the same. So I speak to my childhood, you know, my younger days. You know, I've made some mistakes. I've done things that, you know, probably I look back on today, I'm like, hey, you know, probably I'm not proud. You know, I wasn't proud of it. And you give them little gems, you know. But this is how I overcame this. And when I was faced with this situation, this is what I did. And I think it's being authentic and being genuine. You know, when we're talking about young people, they can tell if you're putting on a bit of act. Yeah, they can tell, hey, listen, this guy's putting on a bit of a front. Or they can tell when your mind's not really there. You know, just be intentional, listen, and be active, very present, right? And just keep following up. I think for some of the older young people who've been, unfortunately, in the system for quite a while, whether it's the care system, the justice system, who've gone through a multitude of challenges, right? That's a lot harder. Yeah, some of the young kids in schools, bro, one game of 21 or knockout, we're best pals, you know, we're locked in. But there's other young people where you've got to really put in that hard work, all right? And the sector doesn't understand that. So I feel like, in my opinion anyway, like everything's rush. KPIs. Hey, listen, it's a 6-week intervention. What are you telling me? It's been 3 weeks and you're still, you know, touching the surface, right? Things take time. And I think it's
the patience aspect. Was that something you, like, this is for both of you guys, you had to learn? Like, was that a bit of a shock when you were getting into it, like early on and whatnot?
And it's also understanding that you're not probably the best person for every young person. Do you know what I mean? So that's probably the hardest part as a practitioner. That's the biggest challenge. It's when to know I'm not probably the best person for this. Because you break it down for us, for instance, we all had teachers that we were drawn to, right? In school.
of course.
That we told a little bit more to, that we shared a little bit more, whatnot. And those teachers demonstrated, you know, certain traits and whatnot. Even if other teachers emulated that, we probably still wouldn't rock with them.
For sure.
You know, because we had our people. That's the reality as well as practitioners, that we're not always the best person. And that takes humility, man. That takes a lot of humility, self-awareness. It takes a lot of, it's a skill set in itself to be able to identify that. And then to kind of lead that young person to their person. And then you can potentially work with that person to support them, and then you can get some good outcomes for that young person through a proxy. You know what I mean? So that's also another strategy.
Then on that as well, the patience aspect. How do you like not grow numb to it either? Because also every day is not the same. You know,
100%.
You guys are just not. I guess you're 9 to 5. You have a life outside of that. You know, multiple lives. You know. You got your ThinkVillage, then you got your actual work, then you've got your family. You're a father to your kids. You know, you have your personal, individual aspirations, basketball, this, that, whatever on the side. And then obviously these kids or this system, they need programs like this. But how do you like not grow like numb to it, you know. Like let's just say you've been working 6 weeks on this one program,
Yeah.
and then one action just flips everything.
On his head,
And
yeah.
it's like you know.
Yeah. It's a balance, you know. I think so that we don't get burnt out. We need to have a protective layer. Yeah. But then if your layers are too thick, that can create disconnection. So it's finding that medium, you know, the medium where you reflect in action and say, hey, right now I'm all in, I'm invested, and whatnot. But then sometimes you got to pull back a little bit to preserve, so that the longevity piece is there.
Yourself, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a balancing act. Sometimes you got to be all in. You know what I mean? Sometimes you feel a lot more, but then you need to reflect on that and say, hey, right now I'm going probably a bit too hard, and that is not sustainable.
Have you caught yourself in a moment like that?
120%. Yeah. And that happens at critical points.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a critical point within a young person's life. It can be a critical point in, you know, an initiative that we're trying to launch, or that we're in the thick of it. And there's things that we haven't considered that throws a spanner in the works, that throws us off rail a little bit, that we have to realign, maybe make some adjustments. So there's a whole heap of stuff that can happen. But the intention's always pure. And even when we say desensitized or kind of protecting ourselves from burnout, reality is that we never disconnected. I just might take a step back, reassign that responsibility so that I can come back replenished a little bit, you know, that I can sustain this effort. It's all about sustaining the effort. And I reckon we're no good unless we're well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, correct.
You know what I mean? So only, no matter how experienced you are, if you're burnt out, you're burnt out.
Correct, yeah. And there's no benefit in, like, let's just say in the early days of ThinkVillage, when you're full of ideas and energy, and you go 100% coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening, that only lasts for so long, you know, because this is, I guess, a marathon in its
100%
in its own right.
And we're not the sole solution.
Yeah, correct.
That's the big part. You know what I mean? So, and also sometimes we tend to put, you know, our efforts on pedestals and think we're it. We're just a small part to a greater problem, and you got to play your small part to be able to, you know, say that we gave it, we contributed.
Correct.
That's our contribution.
Then on the flip side, how do you avoid getting too invested?
Yeah, that's a challenge, right?
That's
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Because when you're from the community, like what ends up happening naturally, there might be a personal relationship, you know, not specific, but like, because you identify with the actual scenario at hand, or the problem, or
that's a problem,
you know, and they're not getting too invested, because then it can become a them versus us mentality, you know, because they don't get it. It's just them over there, you know. But then maybe sometimes you got to check yourself. Maybe like I got to look at it from a different angle. That's the time.
I think for like, outside of TV, even like we do it internally, like, you know, it's like obviously debriefs and stuff like that. But I think just like supervisions, or like having like, you know, secondary consults and stuff like that is really important. I think I'd urge anyone working in the social sector space or in the community space to really invest in like actual one-to-one like well-being sessions, you know. Really important. I think we're working in, for some roles, very trauma saturated environment. Like some of the stuff you hear just in your day-to-day, it's like, wow. And it's very easy just to get so numb to it, where it's normal, becomes normal. I found myself in that position, you know. There was a 2021. I might took a step back. Because I ignored it though. Like, I know what my body's telling me. I know what I'm feeling. I know I'm burnt out, you know, both ends of the candle. You know, I'm stressed. I've probably been exposed to a bit way too much trauma that I needed to. And I didn't give myself the time and the space to kind of say, boom, like it doesn't have to be just you, Hanad. And I learned the hard way, you know. But I think it's.
How do you know as Hanad when you're stressed?
Oh, I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying the simple things.
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying the simple things, you know. My wife does a really good job of telling you. She's like, yo, stop, laptop down, you know, or go take the kids to the park, or just go hang out with your boys, you know. Because when my head's just, obviously you got work, TV, got other responsibilities.
When you get stressed, you lock in even harder.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
I think that's a guy thing. Yeah.
It's annoying too, you know. Where it's like I don't see anything around me.
Correct.
I'm just locked in, hyper focused. But there's days where I just need just relax, you know, just chill on the couch, smash out a whole episode of Narcos or whatever the case may be, you know?
Facts.
But it's hard to, I think the older I get, the more I'm starting to realize, like, hey, pause. I think that's my biggest thing for 2026, you know? I think just me and Mo were having a conversation last week. Like 2025 was just, and it needed to be. Obviously with TV, we launched things other things were happening, right? But 2026 or 2016, as they like to call it, it's just pause.
Yeah. Did you guys have a reflection at the end of last year?
Yeah,
Is that a thing you guys do, even individually?
And even together.
We go on these little retreats, by the way.
Yeah.
Every year.
Oh, like together?
We just got back from one.
I respect that. Well, I actually
that's
respect
so
that,
sick.
man.
Yeah.
You know, and completely isolated everything.
In the bush.
I rate
Oh,
that.
perfect.
Yeah, little Airbnb, little
Airbnb,
butcher's paper, sitting down, just chopping it up, you know.
That's good,
Yeah,
man.
so
Because
last
you
year-
guys are taking care of other people, you got to take care of yourself.
100%.
And it gives us time to reflect on it. It was good. This year was actually good though, because we reflected on 12 months later from Johanna. You remember,
Yeah, exactly.
We went to Johanna last year. We said we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this.
You went to Johannesburg?
No, Johanna. It's Johanna's.
It's a suburb?
It's in Vic, yeah, Victoria. It's
Sounds like
nice.
Johannesburg.
Yeah.
You should check it out. It's a nice area, nice little
Past Geelong, something like that.
just
yeah.
past the Great Ocean Road and down that way. But we kind of just said, we mapped out our 12 months. We said we're going to do this. This is what we're going to do. We're going to launch this and whatnot. And seeing the progress of that and seeing that come to life and the vision, it does something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you can't underestimate planning. But planning with that right action is gonna it's gonna it's redundant. You know what I mean? So it's like for us is we're big on accountability, but at the same time, but also we're self-aware enough to say, was that the best use of our time? Could we have done that a bit better? You know, we set on that journey. At some point, we forgot why we were doing this again. You know what I mean? Why was that? And we're trying to perfect or work towards getting the formula right for how we can sustain our efforts, so that we don't get burnt out, so we don't lose track of the purpose, and that's the danger. Sometimes our passion drives us, but we lose sight of our passion and our purpose because of maybe the strategy of the way we're implementing something was a bit off, or the systems is not set up yet. You know, and that's something last night we were having out. We're talking about systems and we're talking about time. How can we get some of that time back? What can we implement to, you know?
What type of time? Like as in?
Just, for instance, how...
Is it from like an efficiency point of view?
Efficiency, yeah.
Yep.
So how can we get our time back or not lose time? Because we lose a lot of time thinking about tasks that we need to action.
Correct. Yeah.
That have been banked up.
Correct.
You get where I'm coming from?
No, hear you very well, yeah.
So sometimes that burns you out.
So, yeah.
So you're burning out not because of you doing a task.
The to-do list
The
as well.
thought of a task that's been parked,
Yeah.
that now it's maybe a day overdue or 2 days overdue. Now you're going to start to overthink that.
What solution did you come up with? Or like, did you guys...
So we have to, we want to automate, or, you know, automate our processes a little bit better. And there's a whole heap of tools that we're looking at. But it's like, how can we be better at implementing those automated systems to buy back some of our time, or do we need to bring someone in?
Yeah, correct.
But yeah, building the team out.
And that's another conversation.
But what about individually? Do you see that also seeping into your life too? Because from a business, like partnership point of perspective, I can understand that, you know, like sometimes we can make communication more efficient, the way we attack situations more efficient and whatnot. But what about individually? When you're constantly, like everyone says to you, okay, if you've got a million things to do, start a to-do list, a reminder list, you know? Have it there, plan the night before, tick them off, whatnot, you know? And I'm asking this from a personal perspective, But sometimes you just create a list and that list ends up becoming too long, you know? And that feeling that you're talking about where it's like, there's a lot of energy being spent on the fact that hey, I should get to actioning this. Why haven't I actioned this? 3 days has passed. Now it's like, okay, cool. And in that time, 4 more tasks come onto my plate, you know?
Yeah.
So
the cool thing about it being 2 of us, you know, is delegation's pretty awesome. You know, I think we've gotten really good at that. Where she's simple now. Hey, I'll take 1, 2, and 3. You take the rest.
Mutual understanding.
Easy, and then we'll just circle back. You know, and also understanding like, yo, life is life. You know, family, kids, responsibilities, etc. And it's kind of sharing that load. Whenever we can too. You know? There's a good process there. As TV starts to grow, you know, start bringing more people into the family, into the team. Start making it a bit easier, you know. It's just about. I think that's our biggest thing for 2026 is around.
That's team.
Who can we bring in? You know, but the right person too.
Correct. Yeah.
People.
And also, because this was a conversation I was having with a mate recently, because you can't teach initiative. And I think that's like who was speaking at this? I think it was Alex Hormozy. He might have actually mentioned this. You know, he goes something along the lines of, let's just say you're to start a business or you have an idea you're like willing to execute. The most valuable asset isn't that clientele that will actually generate revenue or like pay for your service or whatnot. It's that person that works alongside you or that person that you employ to get that job done. Because what ends up happening is, like, let's just say you have the skills, you can do it easily, like with your eyes closed, but you make that sale. But then when you employ someone to do that same job, and you end up spending time training him, and then he's constantly calling, this, that. What ends up happening, you're doing double the work. Yeah. And then there's that reliability, that trustworthy aspect, and like whatnot. So the conversation led to, but not everyone has that same initiative or passion for that project that you want to do. So how do you instill that?
But they may never have that as well.
Yeah.
And that's the reality.
Is everyone born with that sense of initiative?
I think you can,
or it just depends what it is.
You can't expect someone to have the same, you know, connection to
The project.
to your project. You know what I mean? So you're very rarely do you find someone that's on you know, your level of obsession. But then, and even if you do find that person, you're gonna find they're gonna outgrow you pretty quickly, and they're gonna move on and whatnot.
Correct.
But you don't have to have that. But what you just need is the right people with the right skill sets to do a function, to serve a purpose. You know, and the right people means their values align. You get me? So it's just like, but we don't expect the output to be the same as any one of us.
That's true.
You know,
you can't take shortcuts.
You can't take shortcuts. But what you do has to bring value to, you know, it has to be very niched and something that we can't.
Of course, yeah.
We can't bring. Do you know what I mean? Or something that you're taking off our plate because you could do it better.
Yeah, correct.
Do you know what I mean? So as long as they have that, that's we're open to it. But
And
then there
that's
is
the
an
hard
expectation. That's the hard part.
Correct.
Yeah.
Finding that person or that someone that can actually take it off your plate.
Yeah, but then if you define the task well, you gotta have a clear function. So,
okay, but what happens, let's just say, devil's advocate, you define the task well, like you can't get any more clear. And this person does have the skill set, you know?
Yeah.
But everything, like, let's just say you tell them, take this from point A to point B.
They can't get there?
Let's just say, they can't get there.
Wrong person. Wrong
Just
person.
keep trying.
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah,
Find the wrong. That's the wrong person.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Because initiative is an effort, right?
So,
Is it initiative and effort, or is it a skill set issue? If it's a skill set issue, wrong hire.
correct.
If it's initiative, can it be coached? Maybe.
Yeah.
Do
Okay,
but do you have the time to coach?
Yeah, that's
Wrong hire.
Yeah.
Where we're at now,
You're already in the field right now.
already
right?
in the
You
field.
have
Yeah,
no
yeah.
time,
I can take you from a B to A, but I can't take you from an E to a.
I need a role player. That's what I mean.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Like a
I need-
3 and D.
That's it.
Yeah, correct.
I can do with C's as well. C and B's.
They're important. Yeah, that's
They're
true.
important as well.
Okay, then this leads to the question: can most people be coached? Let's just say valuable asset in terms of mindset, portfolio, resume, and whatnot. Yeah. In initiative, don't know yet, but then they can't be coached. They're not coachable.
Is that so? Reframe that again. So they are uncoachable.
They aren't coachable, or
Fixed,
it's hard to coach them.
Like, uncoachable.
No, maybe they're too stuck in their ways.
Let's just say question mark on the coachability.
Coachability. Yeah, it's hard.
So can everyone be coached?
How old are they?
Old. let's just say
The
they're-
older, the harder, possibly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm a bit more.
Because it has to come from within.
Yeah. I'm a bit.
that's
open.
where the
way
initiative
you
part.
do
That's where the
things,
initiative
yeah.
aspect of it comes into place. You know.
It just means look, they can, but just the wrong environment, right? I'm not the person for them right now.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Mm.
So my tolerance for someone that to invest in someone, desire is a big part, bro. And if someone's not honest with themselves and they don't have the desire, it's very difficult.
Why? Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't mean that I can't work with you, but it's I'm just not the best person right now for where I'm at.
Correct.
Because I can't pour into you what you need.
Mhm.
You need someone to hold your hand through this one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and time. We're talking about a time issue and trying to streamline and be better use of time. I think it's getting the right people.
I think you're being nice and selfless.
Yeah.
I think like you're looking at it from your point of perspective, where it's like, okay, I can't coach you, you know.
Yeah. Someone can.
But someone can. But I believe like sometimes if like let's just say you're like 26, 27, 28, you know what I mean, and then you want to execute A, B, and C.
Yeah.
I just believe you're not coachable. It's simple as that, you know, because you lack that like initiative.
Yeah.
Or you got to find their, how do you say it, their point in motivation or their point in inspiration, what works for them.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Like I just know with some people, like with friends, if I'm trying to find something in terms of like, let's say with the run club, trying to get people to come more consistently, I generally have a chat with them. I see how they're doing. Like, you know, why do you do what you do in terms of being active lifestyle? You try to find what works for them, whether it's external motivation, like I have something coming up, or it's something like, okay, I want to be different than everyone around me. I want to take my own path. So I find like with people, you have to work and speak to their language. And that's at least in terms of attempting to try to speak their language, and that's what you start with. That's not always going to work, but that's, I think, the best way going forward.
But you have to have that time prior, yeah.
Definitely, time is a tough thing as well to take into account with that. Yeah.
I've seen that with interviews. Like I've done a fair bit of interviews, the recruitment panels and a couple other things, right? Resumes are so deceiving nowadays. And resumes and cover letters, and you can have all the qualifications in the world, right?
Yeah,
crazy. One question that stumps everyone, why do you want to work here? Yeah, what's the driving factor here? You know, why are you so passionate about this? Everyone gets a bit, you know. I think that's the challenge. I'm starting to see that. Me and Mo, we're talking about this, right? I'm like, yo, what happened?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you got some incredibly qualified, overqualified people.
Yeah.
You know, but then they come into the role or the position. Yeah. And it's like
stumps them.
Yeah.
You know, it leads to that question as well. Yeah. Can everyone, like, are leaders born, or you train someone, or
you can train leaders?
You reckon?
There used to be that belief, man, that leadership was something. It was for a select few. You know what I mean? That's the great man theory, right? That's that was the ones that I actually believe. Leaders were only born, so you had to be from a certain cloth, whatnot. That's I think time has shown that's not true. Because then now you got female leaders, right? You know, that was never the case at that time.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
That time they thought it was gender specific or whatnot. So I think it's a skill. It's a skill set. It's a mindset. It's behavioral. I think all that can be taught. All that can be applied.
That's true.
It's learned behavior.
Yeah.
But desire and discipline is required for that to happen.
And can you teach that?
You can teach that, but then that's pre-leadership. You know what I mean? Then you got to go back to go forward and understand why this is. So discipline is saying you're going to do something, doing it, regardless of how you feel. Desire is, you know, having eagerness and enthusiasm to do something that you're passionate about, that you see benefit in.
That's true.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I was reading something on this similar, like on Substack.
Yeah, so there was
a Substack on what's with people every single year saying new year, new me. Yet the same things repeats, and the next year comes and people go, okay, I'm going to do those things again. And it's like, oh, you don't have like a goal-based problem. You have somewhat of a discipline-based problem. And not discipline in the typical, like, oh, you're not disciplined enough, like the rah-rah type of discipline. But they're related back to like a neuroplasticity point of perspective, in the sense that, like, in order for you to achieve those new year, new me's, those new goals and whatnot, there has to be a massive identity shift. But then for that identity shift to be executed, you got to do those like rigorous things. Rigorous in the sense that it causes you discomfort. You know, it could be something like as simple as, hey, I just want to read a book, you know, because I spend too much time on, let's just use social media, for example. Yeah. I spend too much time on social media, TikTok. I go through brain rot, you know, I want to reduce my scroll time. The rigorous aspect of it, or that discomfort feeling comes from it, is the fact that what am I going to do when I don't have 3 hours to spend on TikTok scroll? So people often revert back to that behavior, that constant behavior, the lack of discipline, because of that uncomfortable feeling. And it's only uncomfortable because it goes back to the neural aspect of it. You've taught your brain constantly for me to be safe, feel good and whatnot. I do these things. So in order for that change to happen, you got to consistently apply and then change that. Because you know where that discomfort has come from. In the article, it speaks about how that discomfort comes from the fact that your body's actually trying to create new neural pathways, new learnt behaviors. You know, but our body, our nafs, our desires doesn't want to actually like do that. And that's why it's easy to have a desire in a short film. You know, it's a burst, and that's what it becomes.
That's why your past, your future behavior reflects your past behavior.
Yeah, correct.
You know what I mean? That's how it is, and that's the evidence that you need to demonstrate in order to. You know, alter that future behavior, you know, and where the mind goes with that. And we spend too much time on the vision boarding and not enough on the actioning.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You can't spend more time planning than you do doing.
The action,
The action part. And that's the part. The action part is the part that's probably the more painful part. You know, that's the part that hurts, the wounds the actual ego. It's actually embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's a state of vulnerability.
It's a state of vulnerability,
And that's why, like on the internet, you see sites where it's like they're over romanticizing these vision boards, and you're seeing other people's videos, and that's where it's like, I want to be like that, and you're starting to envision that, but then it's like, hang on, what do you have to do in order to get there? There's obviously a set of actions to take, which you've been avoiding or which you've been delaying. And those type of things, it's like action is everything.
And do they keep the vision boards?
I'm not sure.
What was the question? Do they keep the vision boards? I don't know. I feel like it's similar to like the typical new you, new me type of goals, where it's like just the vision board's aesthetic and it feels nice in that moment. But how often do you look back at it to see the vision that you've actually created?
Short-term dopamine hit, you know?
That short-term like dopamine hit.
But it's also like breaking it down.
I'm just saying more action. That's probably the big part.
And you know what? The thing, you know why action's important. Even I was listening to an audiobook on this. How the biggest quality or combining factor of successful people is how quick they take action. In the sense that, like, let's just say right now I say to you, hey Roger, let's go, I just saw $1 million down the highway, you know. Some people first reaction will be like, who told you? How do you know? How long is it going to take us to get there? You know, that sounds sus and whatnot. Obviously reasonable in the $1 million analogy, terrible example. But then in the sense that, and then some people be like, okay, cool, let's go. You know?
And I'll ask you the questions on the drive.
Yes, I'll ask you the questions on the
drive. But we're going there anyway.
We'll work it out later on.
We're going on the drive. I might hop out at a certain point. I might not make it to the destination.
Exactly.
But we'll jump in the car, we'll figure it out, you know?
Exactly.
I don't want to miss this chance, you know? I don't want to miss this.
They get there, there's no $1 million. You know? But I guess in a way, and in, I guess their perspective, the opportunity wasn't lost. You know, because on the way, guess what? They might have found out there was $50,000.
Of course,
you know, and they're now they're $50,000, or they might have bumped into one new person along the way. They gave him an idea
that led him to that.
That led him to maybe the actual like $1 million. Whereas the opposite of the procrastinators or the people that dwell too much on, how is this? Just use ThinkVillage as an example. How is the community going to perceive this? You know, how are we going to do? We don't have a team yet. It's just us two. You know, right now we don't even have funding. Our ideas are $2,000. You know, but sometimes it's just like you take that action. But why that action is more important, this is what I've realized, is my opinion, is it shifts your identity in a way. So for example, let's say you're not a runner, or let's just say you're not a community spokesperson and you want to take like problem solution based approaches. You're now going to identify as that person, you know, and that identity in itself becomes hard. But because you're already there, now you got to fulfill it.
Mm.
You know, because you got either some people that step up to the plate after taking action, or some people that realize, okay, maybe this isn't for me. And if it isn't for you, but at least you gave it a shot.
But you've taken the steps, and that's what needs to be celebrated. I reckon.
Correct.
Is that taking the steps, even in the unknown, you know? And that's why I love what you do, Ali. But I don't tell you enough about it. But we love that, you know, the videos you're putting out.
Yeah, I appreciate
it. You know, and you're saying it as well. You know, taking people on their journey with them. I think there's beauty in that, man. That process, but that's action. So Ali's taking people on his action steps.
Yeah,
not the pre-planning steps. I want to see action steps. That's what
we need more of that in Melbourne, though. I think.
Yeah, that's a problem.
There's two.
No, we need to celebrate more.
No. We need to celebrate
when someone takes action. Celebrate them.
But instead of knocking them down,
knocking them down.
I think that's the. I think my opinion. That's the biggest issue in Melbourne. You know, it's the fact that you're doing something. You can do a cooking pod. You can do a show, a run club. You could do like a weekly book reading, right? The fact that you're doing something
is good,
and you're creating some type of motion in the city, is perfect.
Facts. Yeah. You know, one of the things I read about ThinkVillage as well is the fact that it's not just you twos. Like obviously you two started it, but then after you see all these other different faces, you got one person in this field, and then you got this person down this field, and you bring them all together, you know, and then like even when we're at the event, by the congratulations, we haven't even spoken about the event, you know, you guys held your first
we loved it.
event at the end of the year, you know, but like I seen like young guys I used to go to school with, you know, that were walking up onto that stage, and I'm like, bro, Alam Mubarak, you know, like look at him, you know, I've never seen this geezer in a suit before. You know?
Hey, the boys look good though,
they look good, Alam Mubarak, you know, but they're like,
that's
what I'm saying, they were the young kids from the area, Alam Mubarak looking in the suit. Then you got someone else who's in this complete different space, you know, but you found a way to create a community where everyone, and that's the part that's lacking, you know, that collaboration aspect of it, you know, like you can always add value somehow and someone, you know.
I'm excited. I think we should never. I think the more things that come out, the better. Yeah, I'm always like I'm tapped in as much as I can, you know, to see like what's happening now. You know, someone started a pod, someone started a new show, someone's doing an event. Right, it's incredible.
I'm there. Yeah. How was that event, by the way? Talk to us about that event for the people that didn't know about it, didn't see it. Yeah,
so we had a African Australian Fellowship, which is a program that myself and Mo put together with support the Scanlon Foundation, who sponsored the program. And we made a very conscious decision at the start of TV, like what program we want to come out with first. You know, we already had Betterment lined up and Ripple Effect, but we wanted to jump on the this particular initiative around how can we invest and support the next generation of African Australian young people. And it's about our message to community, and it's bigger than us. You know, how do we tap into and pour into those young leaders today who haven't been given the opportunity, who haven't been seen or heard, you know, but they've got the skills, the resources, the capability to do the work, right? But they just need that little extra push. And it's a 6 months journey with these young people, 20 young people, where it's transformative, you know, got to know them, did some workshops, some initial sessions, you know, ideations, did some project planning, brought some people from community, you know, along the journey to speak to them and give them some game. And each group got some seed funding, so got $4,000 to run a social impact project where we're completely hands off. You know, so now we've given you the skills around project management, communication, networking. We've opened up our contacts completely, so reach out to whoever you need to reach out to, and design a social impact project. And I think, seeing that journey over the 6 months, it's been incredible. I think that graduation experience, I don't know if you boys saw me, I was at the back. I was wearing this heavy suit, way too hot. But I was taking it in, just taking it in, and seeing those young people go on the stage, get their certificates, like seeing the community in the room. I could probably say it's probably one event that I went to, even though like we're running it, but it's community. Like, I'm looking around the room, I'm like, hey, this is us
from the ground up.
How did you guys find it?
I thought it was go for it.
No, I loved it because I think, well, firstly, it's an area that I don't go often where the event was, but like in terms of,
if it's right,
but like because I'm not also immersed in certain communities as often these days, just because naturally whatever you're doing, you're interested and whatnot. I love to be able to see another community growing because I like the idea of, like you guys have seen what I'm doing and stuff. I like the idea of thinking that when we think to ourselves, okay, our community needs A, B, and C. Then I have to look at myself and say, okay, what am I doing? what's my impact? So then I love to see what you guys are doing. And it's not just you two. Like we said before, you're seeing other brothers come in and you're seeing the young guys in their development over time. You're seeing the experiences of the videos and it just warms my heart. Like I love these type of things.
It's cool. I think it's something that we're celebrating too. But also, I think shout out to all the people we reached out to who supported us along the way. You know, like we had one of the brothers. You know, shout out to Faisal, right? He's ran a workshop, a 2-hour workshop, but ended up staying connected throughout the whole entire program. You know, it's
Semra as well.
Semra. You know, there's so many individuals that we can name where it's just
they just turn up, they pull up, you know, and they pour into the young
amazing.
people.
Yeah.
So it's like there's others as well.
Yeah.
You know what I liked about it as well was because there was this notion or this conversation going around like how post-COVID there's not enough things happening, and I don't know where that stems from, the fact that people are like just love staying at their homes, stay with whatever's familiar and whatnot. But there was an environment that was created, or like an event that was by the community for the community, and it was like literally like the community, you know. And then with those places, because you know how people say, oh, with Melbourne there's not enough like collaboration, people don't take enough action and whatnot. Places like that are very fundamental and needed, because like you could network, you know, you could see someone that like you might be inspiring to do something similar to and tap into them, or just like the networking aspect of it, you know, in an environment which is, you know, your people. That's what I like literally loved about it.
You know, strange though, outside of TV, you know where we need that though?
Yeah.
I think in our cohort, you know, probably obviously not.
Like the older cohort, yeah?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I think anyone between the age of like 26 and onwards, I think the amount of brothers and sisters that I know who are ready. Yeah, and we're talking about the topic of marriage, right? Who are ready, they're really deep into their careers, you know, they want to settle down, they want to find a partner, you know, but there isn't anything in the city
there
that's available. You got like some matchmaking events, which is okay, like kudos, you know, I think it's cool. I think it's just take the matchmaking out of it, like networking opportunities.
That those words put a bit of pressure on people as well, and also expectations going into that. It's like, oh my God, this could be the day.
Yeah,
it's like that's too much pressure.
This could be the day.
Yeah,
imagine if you change it to
that's a real one.
Exactly,
that's a real one.
And it's
real pressure.
It's a bit dangerous. But you want to go to an event, it's like, oh yeah, I'm here for a purpose anyway, because the event of what's happening in front of me, and then something happens, alhamdulillah. It's like that's the whole point. I'm in the community.
Yeah, if you just change the language though.
Exactly.
You know, there was a local mosque in my area that's hosting actually quite in a couple of weeks matchmaking event.
I've seen it,
yeah. Wait, did you see the shares? Over 2,000 plus shares.
Hectic,
on IG. Yeah, so I had like 80 something likes, 2,000 shares, which tells me there's a lot of people out there who actually need. But I think it's take the matchmaking out of it. People are grown.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Can we create an environment where we could just come and just networking as adults? Hey, we're not going to be there. Hey, we're
ThinkVillage.
Facilitating.
Guys, I think that's what's missing.
It is.
In the States, in the UK, in Toronto, different parts of Europe.
UK have a beautiful one. Have you seen the Somali one that they've done recently?
Yeah.
And I forgot the name of it because I was off Instagram. But
is it Somali Circle?
Somali Circles, there it is.
I love that.
Yeah. So Somali Circles is like a platform. It originally started as a platform. Then they combined it for it to become like events that are held constantly for people that are like somewhat experts or in their field. So like, let's just say you got someone who's an expert in the field of like engineering or something like that, you know, and all these other people that are like willing to learn and network and whatnot will come to that, and they'll take something away from sort of like
awesome.
that person.
It's
you know?
really cool. Yeah, but I've also heard some good things about some of the other matchmaking. I think Hume is
Hume has one.
The Hume is it the Hume Mosque? The
my center.
My center?
Yeah.
Oh, they got one.
I heard some great
Hamza gangster though.
Abu Hamza, shout out to Hamza. But
it's
they got great success, right? But I think there's a need for this.
Yeah,
desperately. I don't know.
There is.
It's not TV. I can tell you that. But someone needs to do something.
We need events. That's what we need.
Something.
Yeah, correct. Events where like there's a level of beneficial aspect to it. You know, like you meet people, calm environment.
But then there's a tough one. It's always a tough parties. I met a friend of mine in the UK. He's doing something similar. He's got a coffee shop. He runs games nights, trivia nights.
Correct. Yeah.
Then he started running it, you know, with the purpose of bringing
people
Muslim, the Muslim girls and the guys together to network and to facilitate halal marriages. You know, that was his intention. Then he started to get shunned, saying, "You're bringing people. You know what I mean? You're mixing.
The intermixing and aspects of it.
So it's there's always that tension as well.
You're doomed if you do. You're doomed
Even if you don't, yeah. And then he had to create a women's only night. So he kept going, didn't stop, didn't slow him down. But then he had touch points like a women's only Friday, Saturday mix in it to give, you know, a social opportunity for those that don't, and a brothers only event, just a female event. And he just had a nice partnership with his coffee shop. Coffee shop generated business because obviously bringing people.
Yeah,
it made sense, you know. And he's created a little community, a nice community. I shouldn't say little, good community, good sized community.
What did the community do back in the days for them too? Like with the lack of...
They were active though.
They were more active, yeah?
Well, back
No, but I think we took recommendations a lot better.
No, but when I say
It's
the
a certain
community...
person coming to you.
that's an interesting point. So, go talk
Like,
more about that.
like back in the day, say Age came to someone who might, you know, I got someone for you. We actually, there was a listening, the consideration. Now it's like, oh, you're weirdo, get out of here. I don't even want to see him. You know, so there was that arrange or the connection through. That's a sense of blind dating, by the way. That's like, I got someone for you.
Yeah. G up.
Yeah.
G up, talking that person.
There's nothing wrong with that too.
But that doesn't happen as much nowadays.
Because more people are more disconnected.
They're more disconnected,
You know?
Yeah. You know my dad.
Social media as well as taken.
I'll tell you, my dad has, I call him the Somali hitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. 11 marriages.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
I love that.
And still can.
Yeah, 11 marriages, but just
Still
like,
can.
And still.
he's always like,
You know the time when you say that.
Yeah. Wow. This is like, what do you think? I'll grab you. Yep. He makes it happen. He told me I was at Melbourne airport. Mum and dad were going to Somalia.
Yeah.
And we're at the airport. We're sitting down, waiting for their flight. We're at the little coffee shop, and this auntie and uncle walk in, and bro, these guys, the reaction. Oh my God, hello, how are you? I'm like, by that reaction, I should know who you are.
Yeah, correct.
But I don't know who you are.
Yeah. Something's off.
They're talking, how you guys been? This, that, blah, blah. Conversation went for like 5-6 minutes. They had to bounce. And I'm like, yo, who are the folks? Oh, you didn't know your dad got them married. I'm like, for real? He goes, yeah, how'd you do it? Because we're on Logan Street. This is back in the day, right? Logan Street, getting some ice cream with the little blazers and the ties and that. And he tells the guy, don't leave this ice cream shop.
Yeah.
Stay here for an hour. I'm going to bring someone, get to know her. Don't leave.
I got you.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, they got married, 8 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
Sometimes personal recommendations aren't a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you mean?
yeah.
Something? I reckon that's
I think
the
it's
goal.
better.
That's gold.
Yeah.
They're underrated.
Especially if, for example, you're the one recommending it to that brother, and that brother trusts your opinion,
And
then you do consider it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do people then, Ali, deny it nowadays? Personal recommendations.
Maybe I'll speak on behalf of the brothers. Maybe brothers aren't ready to take that approach. Maybe they're not willing to take the next step because it's a bit of pressure. I don't know.
But here's a challenge though. So the brothers aren't willing to take the approach, yeah? And the sisters aren't chasing their brothers.
Correct.
So we're at a bit of a standstill at the moment. Yeah? So what do we do?
Going back to 2026, because we are in January, and obviously we've got the whole year ahead of us, you know? Had holidays, had a break and whatnot. What's 2026 looking like for you guys? Or what do you plan to do different, inshallah? I guess that the young people can take benefit from, or other people, so you can execute and meet your goals for the year.
So,
Yeah.
And not just ThinkVillage related, even from like a.
So say the question again. So was there something?
Let me actually rephrase it to a different
for me,
question. Yeah. Last year, what are some things you reflected on that you realized that wasn't executed or done properly that you want to make the most of this year going into 2026? Why I asked that question is after reading like even that Substack and myself having like
health.
like
For me, it's health.
reflection.
For me, it's just prioritizing training,
Like running. I'm trying to promote.
Why don't you?
The
Why
early
don't,
hours club?
why don't ThinkVillage collaboration early hours? Hashtag. Boom.
Right.
There might be a
That can
program
happen.
or something
There
like
could be
that.
something. There's something there.
Yeah, get them
There's
off the
something
street,
there.
put them back onto the street.
There's
You know?
something there.
The other straight.
Different kind of runners.
Yeah, different type of runners.
Different kind of.
Hey, by the way, have we committed to this? I think we had a conversation about running. We said, hey, 2026.
Yeah.
I remember I called him. I said, no, 2026, we're doing a half marathon.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, I was like,
I got the perfect event for you.
yeah.
It can be at the end of the year as well, just so you lead up towards it.
Yeah.
But there's an event we'll talk off camera. Of
course.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
book it in,
We'll
inshallah.
book it in, inshallah.
Yeah.
So
The wellness.
Wellness,
Yeah.
I think that's one thing I want to just tick off. And like, you know what? 2026, I want to hold myself accountable. I'm running half marathon.
I've got to understand. Yeah, I've got to mentally comprehend. I
He's
can't
in the process, bro.
I can't comprehend just getting up and running. You know the part for me?
Yeah.
That's the part. Me put a ball in front of me.
Yeah.
Put a soccer ball, put a basketball in front of me. I can play for hours, unlimited hours. I'm locked in, just running.
I think that's a lot of us in our community.
Yeah.
And till this day, like I'm speaking to brothers, they're just like, how do you do it? It's so boring.
Just go. Yeah.
But to be honest, in the like how crazy today's world is in terms of being overstimulated every day, it's quite a relief. Even if you just do it for like 10 minutes, you start to appreciate the peace and the perception of time slowing down. Just giving you a chance. You'll see once you start, because I know you guys will start, inshallah.
Inshallah.
You'll see those benefits.
I think making it a priority, health and wellness, because everything else is dependent on you, man. You know, I think one too many times I've been run down, you know, so unwell or whatnot. I just think it's poor conditioning, poor input, poor diet, and not prioritizing health and wellness, man. That's not enough movement, you know, and when you've got a busy schedule, that's probably the first thing to go. You know, if you don't prioritize it or make it the same level as everything else. So that for me would probably be my top one, and then family, just more quality time, man.
And I think health is an identity thing as well.
Yeah.
Similar to that of even what we were saying with like the youth and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like you have to make it a 24/7 thing. Because I even say with myself, whatnot, you know, it's like if you make it something you do on the side, then
you're gonna drop it.
Correct. It depends on your priority level.
The convenience,
you know, and you'll be constantly like catching up after that. So
Yeah.
Hanad, yours?
I think similar. I think health, probably the biggest thing. I think starting off 2026, I think pause. And when I say pause, like I'm not saying
Pause.
It's kind of be more intentional. You know, sleep. My sleep is shocking. Like really, really bad. Probably getting like 6.5. In most nights. So,
could be better.
It could be better. But if I can get to that 7.5, 8 consistent, like 8 hours sleep.
Good sleep too.
Yeah. When I sleep, I can really tell. Like I'm switched on. You know. And then outside of that, I think it's being more. I don't know. Just being more intentional with things. You know. I think there's probably a couple of things. 2024, 2025. Opportunities that I probably let slip away, things that I didn't pursue, conversations that I should have probably had, you know. It's kind of getting out of my head a bit, you know. I'm just doing it. I'm just doing it and seeing what happens, whether that's TV, family, or life, you know. I saw this theory. What was it called? The invisible guest theory. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
The invisible guest. I saw it on TikTok. Brain rot. You know, scrolling, right?
I learn a lot from TikTok.
Yeah,
that's my man.
By the way, TikTok is
YouTube as well.
TikTok's incredible.
Yeah,
right? But the invisible guest theory is about like nobody's watching. I read it because nobody's watching. Like people, like you go to an event, you go to a function, you go to any type of like social outing, right? People are almost like too stuck in their heads. Where they're worrying about how they look, how they sound, how they dress, how they're coming across, right? But no one's actually focusing any attention on you.
You're invisible to them.
You're completely invisible,
correct,
you know, and that changes your whole entire mindset now. Where
it's like the spotlight effect.
Exactly.
Where you feel like the light, you go into the theater, you feel like the light is actually on you. You know,
it can be healthy and unhealthy.
Very unhealthy. But you need a level of it though.
But you need level of it. You
gotta let people know you're
the
that guy.
director of your movie, you know.
Exactly,
so there's an element of it where it's needed, but there's an element where you're like, you're not that important. See the humility part, you know what I mean? It's constant. It's like, yes, my life matters, but not at the expense of anyone else. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's getting that right. So sometimes you see those spotlight effect.
Yeah. But 99% of the time, you actually don't even matter.
No.
Well, like,
nothing else. Yeah, we just
you think about it, you know, like 2 years ago, Queen Elizabeth died. Biggest thing on the news. You know, like everyone grew up with Queen Elizabeth. Everyone and their mum and this, that knows her. You know, at the time, the whole world stopped in a way, technically, I haven't heard her name being mentioned a single day after, like probably the first week of her death.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like, that should be a constant reminder as well. Like, you are someone now, but you're insignificant as well in the grand scheme of things, you know? So it's like...
It's a good reminder too.
But you know what's crazy though? How many people are out there who've got some incredible ideas, innovation, or things that they can speak to or do, right? But they're just too stuck in their heads.
You know, I always say to those guys, and I serve it as a reminder to myself, is like, this concept that like comes up is like ayyam ma'dudat. Like it's like these days are just a numbered amount of days. You know, it's just a couple of days. You know, like yesterday you weren't married, then today you're married. Yesterday you didn't have kids, today you have kids. You know, you're running around in the backyard, now you're chasing after your kids in the backyard. But then all of that, so those 2 days or numbered days, actually in the grand scheme of things was 30. So you only have a couple or more maybe days left over. And then a couple of days after those couple of days, you're in the ground, you're nothing. So it's like, if I have the ability now, try and do it. And that's going back to, you know, I asked the question about what's one thing you reflected on your last year, yeah? This part leads into one of my things for like this year. It's like, whatever that one thing I am doing, I'm going to try to do it my best. Because there's no good in saying I done something. You know, like right now, there's no good in saying I created ThinkVillage or I created FairDinkum podcast, but you never gave it 100%. Like, do you like the idea of being associated with the thing you're doing, or do you like doing it?
The identity.
Yeah, because you do it because it comes from like within and stuff like that. And in a way, it's like people love this idea, but you want to be remembered for something as well, you know, but you're not going to be remembered for something you weren't passionate about or you gave it 100%, you know. Again, the more passionate, invested you are into something, it has a rub-on effect on people, you know, and people don't remember what you tell them. What do they remember? They remember how you made them feel, you know. So it's like, after those couple of days that passed, like, what did you have effect on other people, yourself, and whatnot? You know, you want to live a life that's worth remembering.
That's exactly that.
I don't know. I went so deep, but
no,
still.
but it's exactly
That's
spot on.
It took me to a place.
Yeah.
You got me. I was reflecting as you're speaking.
Because people have of two, by the way. Yeah, like some people are like motivated by like the fruit of or the niceness of things, you know, and other people are motivated like you're either motivated by Jannah or Jahannam. You know, the fear of being punished or the fear of being rewarded. And I'm of that, like that second type, where it's like, I don't want there to be a day where I regretted something.
Anything,
you know, like, so it's like, how can I not do that? Say yes to every opportunity. Going back to the whole, like the success thing. And then even if I do say yes, try my best. And if I feel short, then
just give it a crack. Yeah,
it is what it is. You know, I can't hold myself to it.
You're training combat martial arts, eh?
Yeah.
Are you fighting?
Yes,
soon?
yeah. It's soon, inshallah. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, I'm a bit off at the moment, but yeah, that's the goal, definitely.
To get in there.
For the lols, yeah, just do it one time for the lols. You know what I mean? Just
I can
not
see.
coming out, why not? You know, just to say I did it. You know?
Finish on a high.
Finish on the high.
That's it.
So, alhamdulillah. But no, guys, I appreciate you guys for blessing us.
No, thank you for
You know,
that.
without further ado, you want to let them know where they can find you, any new opportunities we can probably keep our eyes out.
Yeah. So we're on.
And I've got to give you guys your flowers, you know, like individually, we had 2 like separate individual episodes over the last like 2 years or whatnot. Anyway, but from then, one thing I read about the both of you guys is you've taken the action that we've spoken about in this episode, you know? So if there's anything like people can take away from this episode is like these guys are an example of like take action. So because ThinkVillage wasn't born back then. And it's something now, you know?
Something,
and a year has passed actually as well. Alam barik.
Yeah, I don't know, just get out there, to be honest. You know? We're on Instagram, so IG, we're on LinkedIn, our website.
It's all ThinkVillage.
It's all ThinkVillage,
ThinkVillage.
Beautiful.
We have a couple more opportunities coming up, you know. So probably do a rerun of our African Australian Fellowship, you know, round 2.
The camp.
Hopefully.
We got some knife crime workshops as well. Just get involved. There's a lot of opportunity to get involved. Just reach out, info@thinkvillage.org. That's our email address. Yeah, just reach out and tell us what you want to connect on.
No, definitely.
Volunteer. We're looking for volunteers as well. Or we'll be a bit more active in that space. So we're going to grow the family and grow the team. There'll be plenty of opportunity to support. If you want to get involved with an organization that cares about the community, and cares about the people who care about the community, and what we want to invest in building, you know, capable people, you know, as well as working with those that are passionate. We call it community conscious leadership. You know, that's what we. If you think you're someone that cares about the community, wants to build your leadership skills, get in contact, and we want to hear from you. So
no, definitely. That's actually a good way to get involved, volunteer.
Volunteerism,
So you guys know where to volunteer. Without further ado, Zaijian from
Zaijian,
his brother. But you guys know the drill. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to comment. Without further ado, we'll see you in next week's episode. Peace.